Hello, everybody. Welcome to POS Soccer Free Webinar COVID-19 series. My name is Terry Egwauje. I'm the Director of Coaching, and I'm also a coach educator and instructor educator with US Soccer Federation. Today, we will be addressing a very, very important topic: principles of play defending. A few weeks ago, we did address principles of play attacking. So now we will be addressing the defending component. I like to always start each of my presentation with this quote from Jurgen Klopp. And yes, we know he's now the champions of the English Premier League, but this quote has been around for a long time, even before now. And that is simply to say that no coach ever stops learning. That's what makes the great coaches great. We as coaches always strive to learn more every day, and we never stop asking questions. First, what is principle of defense, and what are they? I will attempt to define what principle of defense is and then give you a list of my version of what they are as we go down. And I will link every one of those to a video clip for us to analyze and be able to see what it looks like on the soccer pitch. Again, what is principle of defense? This is what your players are doing or should be doing when they do not, I repeat, when they do not have possession of the ball. And what are they? You can see I have 6 principles here listed. As coaches, many of us are familiar with this. We are already doing this on a regular basis with our teams. The first one there is pressure. Some would say immediate pressure, immediate chase. And why would we want to do that? We want to do that because we want to win the ball back immediately. And if we cannot win the ball back, then we'll delay. And you can see I have the word to delay there as a subset of pressure. Some people would think delay is a principle by itself. I happen to think otherwise. I think it's a subset of pressure and should not be a standalone principle. Next is cover. Some of you would call that depth. And when we have balance, we have compactness, we have composure, control, and restraint. The last one I have there is something that I came up with. Counter attack ready. Again, some of you may be already doing this with your teams, but we have never thought of it as a principle, a standalone principle of defense. Again, this is not counter attack, but counter attack ready. That means, are we ready, even though we're defending, are we ready to counter when we win the ball? What would that look like? So we will look into that and then discuss as we go down. So now let's look at some of the factors that you as a coach have to consider when defending. And again, every one of your players should be aware of all this. Now, the first one there is zonal defending or man marking. Is that what we're doing as a team? If so, when? When do we do that? As a team, where on the pitch are we going to be doing that? How are we going to do that? And who are the players, the key players that are going to be involved in doing that? Something else your team also have to keep in mind is your defensive strategy and your defensive tactics. Two different things. Okay, your defensive strategy is your team's plan to win the ball back. This is our strategy. This is how we plan to win the ball back. Okay, your defensive tactics is the actions that your players take to win the ball back. In a nutshell, your defensive tactics help you to implement your defensive strategy. You also have to have your defending system of play. What shape should we have when we are defending? Okay, what are the numbers going to look like behind the ball? And who are those players? Are we going to be playing the 1-4-2-3-1? Or are we going to be playing the 1-4-3-2-1 when we're defending? Or we're going to leave the forward, one of the forward up high and then defend with a 1-4-2-3 or 1-4-5. So those are all things as a coach you have to keep in mind and be ready to explain to your players. And lastly, the style of play. Again, we know that the culture of your team, your player, where you live, the culture of the coach, all of those determines your culture. We know Africans are very physical. How do you use that when defending? We know they're very athletic, just like the Germans. We know they are very physical, very athletic. How do they use that? How does that culture affect their style of play when defending? And also, based on our culture, are we going to be playing the low block defending, mid block defending, or high block defending? And some of you would call this high pressure. It's what I refer here as a high block. So again, these are factors, 4 major factors as a coach you have to keep in mind when it comes to defending. And now let's go to the actual principles. The first one is pressure. Pressure is the player closest to the ball, puts the pressure. We call that the first defender. Again, the job of this player is to win the ball. Is to win the ball. If we cannot win the ball, then we delay or simply put enough pressure on the ball to slow down the attack. Again, this is to help to prevent the opposition from playing the ball behind us, playing the ball forward into dangerous areas. That brings us to this question. When should you press? As a team or as an individual? I have some lists there and I will want to go through one of them and then we'll decide who should be engaged in this. Is it the entire team or individual player? When the first touch of the opposition is bad or it's not under control, who should press? Who should pressure? Individual player closest to the ball. If a pass is played backwards or side to side, that's a good time for the entire team as a unit to press, to step up. If the attacker with the ball is facing his own goal, his or her own goal, that is a good time where the entire team, including the pressing player, to step up and put pressure on the ball. A long pass in the air, when a ball is played long pass in the air, is a good time to step up as a team and press. And when the attacker who has the balls, his head is down, he's not looking up, he cannot play a long pass or play a pass, that's a good time for you to press, the individual player to press. Same when the ball is on the weak foot of the attacker, that's a good time for the number one defender, the first defender, to press. And here is a picture, a still photo here of who the first defender is. That's the one in circle, the player in yellow, and I believe it's Messi with the ball, and that's the first defender with the pressure on there. And here's a short clip here. You can always play this multiple times, but here's a short clip here where a team is pressing, individual and as a unit pressing, that leads to a turnover. And I believe this is the Netherlands. And you can see that pressure coming from the back there, from the orange team, the Netherlands, and that will force a turnover. Thank you very much. Now we have possession of the ball. Here's another one. And you can see the ball played in, and you can see the pressure from behind that forced an error, and then we win possession and off we go. Some of you will wonder, how do you teach the the pressing player how to defend. Here is another clip here that will illustrate the proper technique to pressure the ball. You can see how short steps to approach the ball, your hand out for proper distancing, eyes on the ball, and you wait for that error and you step in between the ball and the attacker to win possession. And we'll watch this again in the slow motion. You can see the knee there slightly bent, and eyes on the ball, focusing on the ball, waiting for that attacker to make that mistake. As soon as that ball is off the feet, you step in between and then you take possession of the ball. All right, here is a situation where Barcelona is high pressing Villarreal, and Villarreal could barely get the ball out of their own 18-yard box because Barcelona were so good to pressure them high press to win the ball back. So let's watch. That's the most Villarreal could get the ball into the midfield. Barcelona was able to put pressure, high pressure, and win the ball each time. That's a fantastic job there by Barcelona to keep the ball there for 4 minutes. As you can see, over 4 minutes, and the opposition could not even cross the halfway line. So that's an example of a high press done correctly. And here's another example here. This time it's a low press, what people will call low block. So let's watch. And you can see all the red players there with the numbers behind the ball in the low block defending, hoping to win the ball and counter. And they almost got a goal, and that's Liverpool there. They are very good at that. Quick counter, and well done. Thank you. All right, so that's a good illustration there using video to demonstrate what we mean by low block and high press. Cover. These are the players around the pressuring player. We call them the second defenders. It could be multiple players. They help to support the pressuring player in case they get beat. And they could also help to double team in order to win the ball. Their main function is to cut off passing lanes of the opposition. The key factor here to remember when you are a covering player is the distance and angle of your cover. It's very important. Defend open space and track running players. That's another key function of the covering players. And here's an example from the game we just watched earlier. Villarreal has the ball, the yellow players with the ball. There's pressure from Barcelona coming from the right side of the ball. And you see the 3 covering players running into space to provide cover for the pressuring player. That's a still photo. And here will be a short clip of covering players in action. So let's watch. And you can see that the circled player, the players on white, the circled players, we have the pressuring player there, and you have the 2 covering players making sure they can track any runners and cover the space behind. And you can see the 2 players in circles there are the covering players for the dark color team. The white color team have possession of the ball. You see that we have pressure and the two players there in the middle of the park there providing that cover. And you can see those three players there again in circles, those highlighted players providing the cover. And you can see from this as well, we have four of them, making sure that all the spaces behind is covered, the passing lanes are blocked. Okay. So moving along to balance. These are the third defenders. These are players not immediately close to the ball. They are further away from the ball. They're further away from the actions. They protect the space away from the ball. They prevent those runners from getting behind from the far side. Okay, they help to make the pitch smaller by squeezing in towards the ball, opening their hip so they can see what's happening there. Again, they help to cut off passing lanes and give up numbers behind the ball. And here is a still photo of what balancing players will look like. And you can see those two players there, highlighted players there. They are providing for Villarreal. They are providing the balance. I meant to say the balance for the team. As you can see around the ball, they have the pressure already, and they have three covering players, maybe four, and the balancing players are the two highlighted players. And you can let's watch a short video here that will help us illustrate this. You can see the players, they are highlighted, that provides balance. Now you can see from here, we have the highlighted players there, about 5 of them on the far side, providing us with balance. We already have pressure coming in here, balance here, and a covering player here, and another covering player, and the all others are the balancing players on the far side. So here's another short clip of balancing players. You can see the highlighted players on the weak side. This is Brazil in the United States on the women's side. Okay. Compactness. Compactness. Squeeze attackers into small areas. Easy to defend small space than bigger space. So the more compact we are as a team, the better, and the easier it is to defend. We basically concentrate around the ball. Okay, the more numbers we have around the ball, behind the ball, the better. We keep space between the defenders as small as possible. So we're staying tight and compact so they can't play between us. Okay, and we'll focus on the vital space between the ball and the goal, what most of you will call goal side. Okay, this prevents the opposition from directly attacking your goal. So when we talk about compactness, here's a still photo from the same game with Barcelona. See how compact Villarreal is here. Messi has the ball, and you can see how compact they are. They made the pitch smaller, and they have basically about 7-8 players immediately around the ball area to deny Messi the ability to dribble through or pass through, and they are protecting the vital areas, which is the distance between the ball and the goal, the space between the ball and the goal. And I think we'll have a video clip here to illustrate that. very well here. Let's watch. Okay, and you can see, I think that's Sweden. Sweden defending, and you can see they have 1, 2, 3, 4 around the ball area. They're staying compact so they can win the ball and attack. So let's see if they were successful there. Double team with a lot of players behind the ball, and yes, they were able to win, get possession of the ball. And take a look at how compact this game is. You can see that they're basically using a fraction of the pitch when defending. A fraction of the pitch is what is in use. All 20 players, except the 2 goalkeepers, are in that area, because the more compact you are, the more difficult it is for the opposition to take advantage of you. So let's take a look again. Compactness here. You see the highlighted areas there. Sweden was able to double team there with 4 players, win possession of the ball, and they tried to attack. But the opposition now was able to stay compact as well. As you can see from this highlighted portion, the opposition stayed compact, and so they too were able to win the ball back. Here's another video that illustrates compactness. This is from the World Cup. I believe it's in South Africa. You can see how the team in yellow stay compact with all 10 players behind the ball, and they were able to sniff off that danger. They won possession back, and they were able to attack. Let's watch that again. See, all 10 players, only one is on top. Everybody else is behind the ball, staying compact, and they were able to sniff off that danger, like I said, and now they can now counter, or at least keep possession of the ball. Okay. Next, composure, having control when defending. Again, this is just about being very patient when your team does not have the ball. You want to allow the attackers with the ball to make mistake, or for the ball to be exposed before you try to win it. Try to defend by making the play predictable. Okay, maybe you defend sideways on so you can force the attacker one way, and then you can effectively defend. You want to make sure you stay under control. As you will see from some of the videos, defenders were not under control, and it ultimately led to red card. Do not tackle unless you are confident, very, very confident that you will win the ball. Otherwise, you risk being injected, and that will mean your team will be playing with a man down. So that's going to negatively affect your team. So you don't want to do that. Okay? As a team, you all should have a set of triggers and or cues that tells you when it's time for us to win the ball now. Okay? So now let's look at this clip here, and I'm going to talk you through it of exactly what not to do as a defender. See, that's one. The ball is the dead ball. There's no need for this. This is a Manchester United player with a kicking somebody in the groin. So that's totally uncalled for. Here's another one. We have enough people around the ball. There's no need to dive in on both feet. So that is exactly a player without composure, not staying under control. And here's another one. And there's absolutely no need for that tackle because the ball was going the other way. The player will have nowhere to go. And that's another one, a slap to the face. So that is not what you want to do as a player, because that could get you sent off, just like so. And of course, that occurred. Okay, that's another example of exactly what not to do, because now you will be playing with a man down, and this could cost you, you or your team, that game. All right. And lastly, we're going to talk about this new principle, if you want to call it new principle, but something that some of you have been doing, most of you have been doing. But for me, I just call it counter attack ready. It's a principle. I believe it's a principle of defense. Remember, this is not counter attacking, but being counter attack ready when at this time you still do not have the ball. All right. So the few things here is, are we set to counter attack when and if we win the ball? Do we have players on top that serve as a target or outlet when we win the ball? How and where do we plan to win the ball back? Like we're on the pitch. Then how are we going to do that? Are we going to double team, triple team? Or are we going to have a hot zone when teams get in that hot zone? That's when we pounce to win the ball? Or are we going to use the halfway line as our trigger point to pounce whenever the opposition cross that? Also, who on our team is going to be helping us win the ball? Okay, do we have a particular player assigned to it? Okay, and who is going to be our target player or players if and when we win the ball back? Okay, so all these are questions that you want to be asking yourself and your team for you to be counter-attack ready. How do you plan to counter-attack when you win the ball? Are you going to use the long passes, balls on the ground, or are you going to use solo runs? We're not going to go into the counter-attack properly because that's in the principles of attack. But as a principle of defense, counter-attack ready, it's my own word. You could call it anything you want to call it. You can agree or you can disagree. It's okay. But for me, are we ready to counter-attack even when we are defending? And here are two still photos I'm going to show you. You could see this game is Crystal Palace and Liverpool a few weeks ago. You could see the back line of the Liverpool. There you have 3. Then in the middle, you have another 3 there on the screen. And then you see the number 9 up there, just ahead of the halfway line there, getting ready in case Liverpool wins the ball. So they will use him as the outlet. Okay, so this is counter-attack ready. Even if Liverpool does not have the ball, they are ready to attack. Here's another one. Crystal Palace defending with almost everybody. The ball is with Mo Salah on the far side on the right. And you can see Liverpool with a back 4. And you can see the midfield 4 with the ball on that end. And they are counter-attack ready. So in case they win the ball, they will have an outlet using their number 9 or maybe their number 10 here as an outlet to attack. Okay, so again, that's all we have for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. You can always email me if you have questions. My personal email is on your screen now. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week. Thank you. Bye.